Look about all the amazing things that you do.
So
You're an amazing brother who's looking for an amazing wife. So let's talk about.
I am looking for an amazing wife, and
You are an engineer. You are an author. You are published. You are self-published. You have your own writing academy where you do activities for Muslim youth, Black youth, and Black Muslim youth.
Yes, sir.
That's a hell of a resume for a 30-year-old.
Yeah, man. And I'm not beating myself up. Just I'm being facetious a little bit, but really what I'm saying is, you got to know what you're good at, right? So, the problem we have today, I see it in basketball all the time. You got a 7-footer trying to shoot threes all the time. Know what you're good at, and then capitalize on that. So I'm just being authentic with what I'm good at. I wasn't a good swimmer. We liked animals and everything back then. So the Sunnah sport that I gravitated towards was horse riding.
Assalamu alaikum. It's your brother Haq Islam welcoming you to this week's edition of The Oasis, live from New York City. So nice they had to name it twice. It's a beautiful day in New York City, and I'm sitting here with my brother who came in all the way from Khartoum via Virginia. Long way. And we've had a lot of shows on Sudan, but today we're going to do something a little different because the brother is an author. He's a horseback rider, CEO of a great company called SAFY. In addition to that, he has one of the most prestigious families in the history of Sudan. Assalamu alaikum to my brother Mohamed al-Mahdi.
Wa alaikum assalam, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy you came. And how was Khartoum to travel in from there?
Just to clear something up, I never really lived. I lived in Khartoum for one year of my life when I was younger. I was actually born in Egypt, and I came to America when I was 2 years old.
But brother, see, you messed up. I was just trying to get the audience to picture in their mind Khartoum.
Okay.
You know, you messed it all up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And what I always tell people, because I love the history of Sudan, because it's the cradle of civilization.
Yes, sir.
And at some point, inshallah, I'll go, you know.
Inshallah.
But your great-great-great-grandfather, is that true? Muhammad Ahmad El Mahdi?
Yeah, he's my grandfather's grandfather. So I don't know how many greats that is, but
okay, but he's one of the most revered persons amongst African American Muslims. Do you know that?
Yeah, man, I've heard of it. Yeah, I've definitely heard, like, you know, talking with some of my African American Muslim friends and like being in certain circles. I've definitely heard that and understand why.
Tell us about him.
So so he's, like I said, he's my grandfather's grandfather. And then he came about in a time where there was a lot of political unrest in Sudan, a lot of religious unrest in Sudan. We were occupied by the Ottomans, the Egyptians, and the British all at once. So there was a lot of the Sudanese identity was really being occupied and being threatened in a way that was really tough. So he was actually a Sufi sheikh in the outskirts of Sudan, and it was late 80s, mid 80s to late 80s when he lived. So he came about
the 1800s.
1800s.
Yes. Let's be clear. That was the 19th century.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir.
Yeah. And not on, but see, he's responsible for kicking them all out.
Yeah, he is. Alhamdulillah.
You know? Alhamdulillah. That's what's most, because he was a revolutionary, a religious leader, a scholar.
Yes, sir.
And he kicked them out.
Yes, sir.
You know, there was one British general, I forgot, I think it was
Gordon.
Yes, Gordon. He kicked them out. Yeah.
They actually made a movie about it. It's called Khartoum.
Yeah, and that's what stars Charleston Heston.
Yes, sir.
It comes from the white man's point of view.
Yeah, it does. But it's still a good movie to just give you like an overview of like kind of the historical events, maybe the in-depth details are a little inaccurate and biased. But yeah,
plus your grandfather, who played your
it
grandfather?
was a white man. That's
A
all I
white
know,
man,
who
yeah.
did blackface.
And I met a few of you guys,
Yeah.
and all of y'all are very, very dark skin. I mean,
Yes, sir.
y'all are much more chocolate than I. So I can imagine
Yeah,
your
man.
grandfather.
Sudan, it means land of the blacks in Arabic.
Uh-oh, look out,
Yeah.
world. That's where I'm going. Okay, I have to look at this. Now, before we get into you, Abdul Rahman El Mahdi, who was he?
So that is actually, he's my grandfather's son. So he's my dad's grandfather. And he actually was able to help orchestrate the independence of Sudan away from the British. So when Muhammad Ahmad El Mahdi, he came about, he was more so like fighting, and it was more war that had to happen for us to get that initial independence from Egypt and Turkey. What had happened is, like, after he died, there was more unrest, and his whole family was persecuted, killed. Abdurrahman, my dad's grandfather, he was a child when this was happening, and they were all under a type of solitary confinement and prison and all that. So all the younger people were just being watched. I think he was actually shot when he was like 9 years old or something.
Really?
And his mom actually protected him. Yeah. And his mother was from Darfur, actually. So I know you hear a lot about Darfur.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
his mother was from Darfur. And circling back to my great grandfather El Mahdi, part of what he did is unite all the tribes from different parts of Sudan to come under a unification against the regime in power. So,
And his military wing was called the Ansar.
yes, sir, the Ansar. Yep.
Yeah.
So at the time when Abdurrahman was coming about, there was no leader to the Ansar. There was a vacuum, so the British were able to capitalize on that, and the British were controlling Sudan. So he grew. There were some leaders in between, like they call him Khulafa or Khalifa of the Mahdi. So there were leaders in between that were kind of navigating that situation. But when Abdurrahman came about and got older, he's actually credited for the way he dealt with the British versus his father. It was more violence and fighting. Abdurrahman was more political,
More
business.
diplomatic.
Yes, and business savvy.
Yeah.
So he actually he created these relationships with the British, and then he was able to start a farm of cotton in the outskirts of Sudan. Farming for cotton is what it's called. So they farm for cotton, and that ended up being like a huge business standpoint where he was able to raise so much money. Because people like the Mahdi, he was dirt poor. Like you hear stories of the Prophet ﷺ, how he had to live sometimes. Sometimes I would hear like similar stories about the Mahdi and how he lived. He lived in a cave, man. But like when his son came about, he built the wealth. Like he was the first one to really, in my family, to really get that type of wealth. And he built that wealth through relations and through being able to maximize the agricultural capabilities that he had and Sudan had. And then eventually 1959, I believe, or sorry, 1959 is when he died. 1956, on January 1st is when Sudan got their independence through him facilitating certain political negotiations, working with al-Asri, who was also like the face of the independence of Sudan. So it's a very, very rich history there. I should probably know more about it. But
No, don't say that, brother. You're doing a fantastic job because it's your family. Don't depreciate yourself here. You're doing great. Don't even worry about it because it's you're edifying me and you're edifying the audience because I grew up with supreme admiration for your great grandfather, Muhammad Ahmad El Mahdi, and I don't know why. I have no idea why he's so revered within the African American Muslim community, and I'm just so happy that you're here. And I met your cousin, and that's like wow. Because when I met you, I couldn't believe it. You know what I'm saying? Because initially when he said his last name, I thought it was a joke. I said, "You're related to the brother?" He said, "Yeah." I thought, "Whoa, really?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And one more before we move on to you, because your lineage is great, and it's truly, I admire the history. Sadiq El-Mahdi.
Sadiq. So Sadiq, are you talking about Sadiq or Sadiq? There's two of them. Sadiq is his son.
Well, remember, I'm from New York, so
Okay,
I just
yeah.
gave you the one that became prime minister.
Okay, that's Sadiq al-Mahdi.
See, I guess New York accent influenced that pronunciation. Okay, let's
Queens
talk
accent
about
or
Queens. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So, see, it came out again. I'm trying to be professional here. It's not happening. But tell me about the prime minister.
Okay, so Abdurrahman, he had two sons. I think the cousin that you met is a descendant of al-Hadi, which is one of his sons, and then I'm a descendant of Sadiq Abdurrahman. So they took over like the religious role of the Ansar as imam. Sadiq was first. That's my dad's father, my grandfather, and then al-Hadi was after him. And then eventually, the gentleman you're talking about he's my uncle, Sadiq al-Mahdi, and he's my dad's eldest brother, and he was prime minister twice in Sudan, and he's the only democratically elected prime minister in the history of Sudan.
Yeah, it was at the late 60s and 80s. That was quite a span.
Yes, sir.
Where he, it's just fascinating, you know. Now, last question on the family. I read, and I'm not sure if this is true, so you can tell me that Muhammad Ahmad El Mahdi traces his roots back to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Honestly, I personally try not to focus on that. I think the claim is coming from Hassan ibn Ali, which was Sayyidina Ali Salat.
Right.
He had radiallahu anhu, he had two sons, Hassan and Hussein. A lot of the people claiming lineage nowadays come from Hussein. And then I think al-Mahdi's lineage claim comes from Hassan. I don't know if it's true. I personally don't look into it. I know there's been like studies and like family trees done about it. But the way I think about it is like your lineage even if he was related to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it's more about who you are as a person versus like your direct lineage to the Prophet. I think that's why God has a wisdom with like what lineages he did preserve to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
That was a very good answer.
Yeah, man. Politically correct, right? Yeah, I got you.
It was real politically correct, you know, because, you know, I was getting ready to go, yeah, he's black. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But no,
You can still do that if you want. I think that's why my grandfather is so revered amongst African Americans, because to see a central figure in that part of the world, you know, a black man as a Muslim having that type of impact, you know, kicking the British out, kicking the Ottomans out. It's you know, it's wonderful to see.
Wonderful to see.
Sir.
Now we go to you. You're quite the accomplished writer. We're going to show your two books in a second, but I want to talk about the journey. When did it start? Because you went to University of West Virginia, correct?
Yes, sir, man. Bringing back memories.
Yeah, that had to be quite the culture shock.
It was. We were talking earlier. So my initial culture shock was moving from Bowie, Maryland to Loudoun County. You know, majority black environment to majority white environment, and then the movement to West Virginia was another culture shock where I was away from my twin brother, away from my family, just kind of around like a party scene all the time. I'm not saying I partied, but like I was around that scene. It was all over the place. Hadn't really. I don't think I've ever been to West Virginia before going there for school.
But what made you go to West Virginia?
So I went there. I studied petroleum and natural gas engineering. And I got West Virginia had something called the academic common market, which is if you have a major that's not offered in your state and you do that, you get in-state tuition at West Virginia. So I ended up doing petroleum and natural gas engineering, which is on that academic common market. So I paid in-state at West Virginia. In-state at West Virginia is $5,000 a semester. It's nothing compared to Virginia. So I ended up paying even less to go out of state than I would have paid to stay in state.
Culture shock.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about
Huge culture shock, man. It was honestly,
I know people at West Virginia didn't have no idea where Sudan was.
No, not at all. No, yeah. It was. I mean, I think I navigated it decently, and it taught me a lot. You know, seeing that, and I was there for a while, man. I was there for, I think, because I did my bachelor's there, then I worked some labor there, then I did my master's there, so I was there for a long time. But yeah, alhamdulillah, I went through that because it kind of exposed me. I feel something I pride myself in today is I know how to connect to different audiences, like different types of people. I can connect to white people, black people, Arab people, you know, Mexicans, orange people, Hispanics, like any type of culture. I know how to talk to certain people. And a lot of people I meet, they live in like a place where like a box where they don't know about other cultures. They don't know how to interact with other cultures. So, you know, alhamdulillah.
Okay. So when did the writing bug hit you?
Man.
And was this something you always wanted to do?
Not at all. Not at all. So when I was younger, me and my brother, I have a twin brother, by the way, I mentioned, but we used to do like comic books, and we used to like, make up these stories and everything. So fast forward to COVID, I was working as an engineer on like the frack sites where they frack for oil and gas. And this role, it was a cool role. It was very, lucrative role, but it wasn't stable. So like as soon as the gas prices dropped with the COVID virus, I got laid off. They laid off all the engineers. So I wanted to come up with some type of side hustle. And it took a lot of thought. I was like, what am I good at that not many people are good at? And it turns out the list isn't that long. So the only thing I could really think of that I didn't need to try hard at that not many people were doing is creative writing. Like you hear people write about themselves all the time, but like no one really writes stories like that, at least not in the circles I operate in. So that's my talent, like the creative process of coming up with a story. I could sit here right now, look at you in the face, and then I could go home and write a book about an alien version of what we're talking about right now. You know what I mean?
But something had to prompt this.
It was
like, when did you start writing?
So it was because I got laid off. So I was trying to
No. Before that,
I didn't start writing.
So nothing happened regarding the creative writing process until you got laid off?
Yes, sir. Like I
didn't even think about writing before?
I would come up with stories when I was a kid, like just kind of make up stories like comic
Were you
books.
into sci-fi?
Just like, yeah, superheroes, action.
What's your first sci-fi memory?
My first sci-fi memory,
like, because I'm trying to figure out, at some point there was some sort of impact. Yeah. Something impacted you and stuck with you.
It's probably Godzilla when I was a kid, when I was like 6 or 7.
The Godzilla of the 21st century, the Godzilla of like, Godzilla been around for a long time.
It was the New York Godzilla. I remember watching it in the movie theater when I was a kid.
In the movie theater?
Yeah, so I was probably even younger than 6 or 7.
Yeah. So because I remember seeing Godzilla, when I was growing up. So, yeah. But it was Godzilla been around since the 40s.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So
I'm trying, because I'm serious about trying to figure out that there had to be a genesis somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And I think the seed was planted before COVID.
Okay. So I would say the seed was probably planted from watching superhero movies like Avengers, stuff like that, like when I was a kid. And I would just come up with my own superheroes like in my head. And like me and my brother would just do like comic books of that when we were kids. You know what I mean? Like the Avengers. It was like, I think the earliest superhero movie I have a memory of is the original Incredible Hulk in the 2000s.
Yeah.
So like those type of movies would just prompt that, they stimulate that thought of like, what if this superhero was like this way? What if we had a superhero do this? What if a superhero did that? Like at that time, obviously Black Panther wasn't out yet. So I was like, I was thinking about what if we had a black superhero? I had a black superhero named X-Ray that would glow in the dark, like in the comic book. So those type of stories I would just kind of come up with. I mean, they never manifested. But so when COVID happened, I tapped back into that, and there were some superheroes that were from the past that I was thinking about. Gamma Brother being one of them. But then there was one her name was She-Dragon, where she would transform into a dragon. So I tapped into that to, write my first novel.
Does this have any relationship to Hadith or anything you read? Like,
not at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, in Revelations, in the book of Revelations, the dragon has something to do with the last days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But with that, I'm going deep. That's just She-Dragon, it just popped in your head.
Yeah.
You didn't read Revelation.
No, I did. To be honest, like I wasn't like, I was Muslim my whole life, obviously, but I wasn't like thinking about Islam. Like me being a little bit more religious is a more recent thing. Like after I wrote my first book, actually, is when I'm like actually thinking about Hadith and Islam and everything.
So this is the first book, Girl from Ganymede?
Yes, sir.
Okay, brothers and sisters, you have to buy this book. On the Oasis, we support Muslims. Buy this book. What is the thesis?
So Girl from Ganymede, that's what She-Dragon became. So it's about a girl. She immigrates from a moon to a planet. And it's in a universe where moons are developing countries and planets are like the Western world. The moon in question that we're talking about, Ganymede, that's based off one of Jupiter's moons. So basically, this girl, her name is Zelina. She comes from a family of moon people that were living on a planet called Galactic X. On Galactic X, they were working as like servants for like the royal family and everything. She ends up getting kidnapped without revealing too much of the story by a terrorist group from her home moon, Ganymede, and they run like a spiritual ritual on her that puts like a dragon soul into her body. And then fast forward, her and her family flee Galactic X and Ganymede and that whole solar system. They go to a new place called Diversity with a C, and that's meant to be the hypocrisy of diversity.
Are there any parallels to what's happening?
Let me show you.
Okay.
So Diversity, it's a place where there's so much opportunity. That's why they immigrate there. There's opportunity for her to become a spaceship designer. Her mom wants her to do this, get educated and everything. Fast forward, when she grows up, there's a time jump in the story. She ends up having to work as a very demeaning role just to support her family because she's an immigrant. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
It's America.
Yeah. And Diversity with a C, the C represents the hypocrisy of diversity. So she grows up in Diversity, and then that spirit that was in the dragon spirit, this is the more sci-fi part of her fantasy. The dragon spirit that was in her soul, that eventually manifests into like a split personality disorder where it would speak to her and she would start doing things like she wasn't even aware she was doing. And the creature would like speak to her, but no one else could see. She would just like randomly just do these things. She had all these powers, but the reader doesn't know if she actually has the powers or it's just her hallucinating. So that's essentially what it's about. It's like the story of an immigrant, but through this sci-fi lens. There's actually a character in the book. His name is Zayzoom. He's my favorite character, but he's an alien rapper. He's based off the rapper Uzi Vert. He's like a little blue alien that jumps around. His mind can control spaceships.
This is you're giving me like a real morbid kind of view. Like I'm hoping that she wins at the end. But before we even go there, how did you put yourself in the mind of a young woman?
Oh man, it was tough. That's probably the hardest. And this was actually this is my first published book, but it's my second book I've written. And doing that was very hard. Being able to kind of speak to the female perspective. I had to talk to, friends and cousins and stuff and kind of understand how certain things are thought about. But at the end of the day, it's a sci-fi book. It's a very creative process where you're creating things. So I didn't really need to stick too much to, what a real life woman thinks when it came to certain situations, because I created like my own culture. The book is heavily based off the moon people's culture, which I did, going back to what we discussed earlier, I did base off Eastern culture, where they have like a meditation where they would sit down and meditate, and they would have like a smoke based off the Sudani bukhur that I used that would go around. She didn't eat certain types of meat and everything. But when it comes to her as a female, I think, just learn, read, and ask people when you don't know. Collect information.
And that enabled you to become this young woman. No, I don't want to. It's this is a part of the. I'm not joking because it's a part of the writing process.
Yes,
you
sir.
have to figure out how do you do this. And I always say this, like Cisco wrote a lot of Maya's hit records, and he was able to put. And he's not the first male writer that wrote for. When Smokey Robinson wrote for women.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly, some men wrote for Nicki Minaj or
Right.
Cardi B. So, it's not thing. But it's just from my perspective, it seems to be difficult to do, and you did it. So I'm just trying to figure out what was your particular process.
So honestly, I had to read a lot of books from the woman's perspective, from a woman's perspective. I had to do that. And sci-fi in general, I didn't have a talent for the actual writing process. My talent was the creation, the creative, being able to create a world and all these characters. So I had to read a lot of books from a woman's perspective, a lot of books from a sci-fi perspective. Because if you read the book, it's not the way I talk. It's the way a sci-fi reader would want to read it, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. And it's a fascinating book in general, because it's like for me, it was a lot to follow because a lot going on. But there's also a lot of unique present day parallels that you can see.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that show on Netflix. I forgot what the white ladies in the robes. I forgot what that's called. Well, anyway, we'll move on.
But I like what you said about female writers and male writers writing for artists of a different gender, because that is you got to put yourself in their shoes within this creative process, and you kind of you need to forget who you are for a second.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And that's a masterful craft to have, to write for a female. And again, we know people that do it, and have been successful with it, because I know, or we, at least allegedly, we know Nicki Minaj had a male writer. We know Cardi B had a male writer. I know for a fact Cisco wrote for Maya, and but it's a talent that most people can't have, and you've mastered that talent. So you have to congratulate yourself for that.
Appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
That's an amazing thing. Okay, let's move on to Gamma Brothers.
Yes, sir. That's the game winner right there. Gamma Brother is,
and that's the one I most related to. And you give the thesis, then everybody will.
Yeah, and I think most people, even people that aren't Black or African American, will relate to Gamma Brother more, because Girl from Ganymede is a very heavy fantasy sci-fi type book.
Mm-hmm.
Gamma Brother.
Before we go, Girl from Ganymede, do you see that becoming a movie?
Yes, I do. And I think that was my initial motivation, was I want to do movies, but it's so much harder to break into that space than book writing. Book writing, if you're able to put in the work, that's there. I think movies, you're relying on a lot of other people. So yeah, Girl from Ganymede. Zay Zoom, the rapper I mentioned, he needs to be on a big screen. I think people will really enjoy him as a character.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so back to Gamma Brother. Gamma Brother, when I wrote this book, this at the time was my third book that I wrote, and my second one I published. But Gamma Brother, I wanted it to be authentic, like speak to the Black experience authentically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that, I have the Black experience, obviously, but I don't have the full African American experience. So that's something I also had to talk to some of my friends about for certain things. Fraternity brothers. I'm not in a fraternity. So I had to speak to some of my friends that are in fraternities, Black fraternities, and understand that perspective. So the book, it's about, his name is Dagobert Waller.
Before we go there, I got to ask this question.
Yes, sir.
There were Black fraternities at the University of West Virginia?
There were, yeah. WVU, yes, sir.
And did they have power and clout on the campus?
Not to there were more like out the way, but they did have, like, they had some clout. It's just not the way the white fraternities do, because it's majority white fraternity. Well,
majority white state.
Yeah, yeah, majority white. Yeah,
yeah. That I can't even imagine. You know what I'm saying? I've never been to West Virginia, nor do I have any desire to go to West Virginia.
Come on, man. There's some cool outdoor things in West Virginia you could check out.
All right, well, let's make sure we got some guns.
I'm
with you.
We'll bring some guns out, man. We'll talk about this later. We'll get some horses out there, man.
Bring some guns, horses.
Yeah.
And give me I'm like a real, something that could shoot bullets real fast.
Okay, I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
We got.
All right, back to Gamma Brothers.
Yes, sir. Well, Gamma Brother, yeah. So Dagobert Waller, he's the main character in Gamma Brother.
Where did that name come from?
I'll explain in a second. So, okay, well, I'll start with that. So his fraternity nickname that he's given is DW. DW. I don't know if your audience is familiar with Arthur, the kids show, the cartoon. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Arthur, the kids cartoon on PBS Kids, he had a little sister named DW, and the reason that was his name through the fraternity older brother's perspective was to kind of you're like the little girl of the group, like that's you. And that's kind of where I got that idea from. I don't even know how it came about. I think at the time there was an Arthur meme that was viral on social media, and I saw it. It was like the Arthur fist meme, and then the DW like overreacting, and then I think that just came to mind. But yeah, so his name, his coming from the DW name, I expanded it, and I wanted to get something a little bit more that would stick, and it's not very common. So I was like, what are some names? So I kind of looked around, just kind of what are some unique names to start with a D. Dagobert, yes, sir.
Yeah,
and then I needed
that in my life.
I needed a nickname for him too, so in the book they call him Dago. So
Dago,
or yeah,
okay.
Like his friends call him Dago. The older brothers will call him DW.
Mm-hmm.
DW Reed is what they call him. Off the Arthur, the girl in the show's name is DW Reed, and they have in when they do the line the line ceremony, there's a part of it where the older brothers, like they ask him to do, his introduction, and he's like, he does his steps, and then he's like, DW, or sorry, Dagobah Waller. Then he goes, DW read, like he's reading a book. So that's all that I kind of just pictured in my head before I wrote it, and I needed the name and everything to match with that. But basically, back to the story, Dagobah Waller, when he was younger, his older brother was kidnapped, or he went missing. He doesn't know how that happened, but he went missing. So the whole search in his life is for brotherhood. So as he gets older, he decides to join a fraternity in search of that brotherhood. The fraternity is called Gamma Alpha Gamma. Back to the name Gamma Brother. But yeah, Gamma Alpha Gamma, fictional fraternity. And Dago, he pledged that fraternity, and he was getting into it with a lot of the older brothers. And his love interest is actually dating one of the older brothers. So like they get into it a lot, or it's actually the pledge leader for them. So like he's getting into it with them. And then he has his buddies in the book.
What's the name of the university?
So I didn't really go into it. I
don't remember seeing one.
Yeah, I didn't give it a name, but it was in Louisiana. I wanted to keep that a little open, you know what I mean? But it was in Louisiana.
Why Louisiana?
Man, I was trying to think of like a cool place where, I'll get to this later, but the villain group in this book, the antagonists, they were, I needed like a southern area where something like that would be able to flourish. But then at the same time, there's like a heavy and rich culture, black culture there. So I just kind of looked into what was happening in Louisiana, LSU, and like the fraternity culture there. So I figured that's like
Louisiana being a major slave state.
Yeah, exactly, that as well.
Yeah,
so that's
a lot of Africanism, so-called voodoo.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and the spell, that type of stuff in it. Yeah. No,
so I could see how that relates to.
Yes, sir. And then even some of the adventures in the book where they go through certain areas, the terrain matches. It's like swampy areas and everything. It's based off like that Louisiana, experience. The bayous, like and then even the music and the culture. I had to listen to a lot of the type of music they have in Louisiana to get into this groove where I'll start writing, and I'm literally hearing that music in my head as I'm writing, and I'm like, I'll write a scene where they're at a festival or something, and there'll be a performer, and that scene will be written out for me in my head just off that music. I can write, 5 or 6 pages.
That's the amazing accomplishment to become a novelist outside of what you were educated for, which is chemical engineering, right?
Petroleum, man.
Petroleum engineering.
Do me like that, man. Not chemical.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Petroleum engineering. To move to being an author, an accomplished author at that's a major accomplishment.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and it's still, it's still in the beginning stages. I'm trying to get this, inshallah. I'm trying to get it to a place where I where the book is a bestseller. That would be a dream, inshallah. And then if I can just finish
please do.
Yeah, so essentially what ends up happening. This is the sci-fi element to the book. So he's the fraternity that he's pledging. He ends up getting kidnapped while he's pledging by the same group that kidnapped his brother. And that group is called the White Dragon, and they're influenced and based off the KKK. The White Dragon, they're basically a KKK-esque group with sci-fi capabilities. They have all this high-tech, weaponry, guns with like blasters and stuff.
Why are they kidnapping black people?
I mean, you gotta ask them that, man. Ask the real KKK that and see what they say. But yeah, it's they're kidnapping black people to really run experiments in this book. So this is where the sci-fi element comes. They're experimenting on minorities and black people, specifically black men, running gamma radiation type experiences or experiments. So the book Gamma Brother, it's a play on words. Gamma as in Gamma Alpha Gamma, the fraternity, the brotherhood emphasizing it, and then he's a Gamma Brother. Like he's a brother with gamma powers, which is another part of it, or the main part of it, I want to say.
Right, he has gamma powers.
Once they run the experiment on him, he ends up being able to escape because he ends up getting these gamma powers, these abilities to, when I say gamma powers, he can generate gamma radiation in his hands and use that and fire those blasts out at people. So it's like a purple type radiation. If you look at the book, it's kind of showing that a little bit. But that's his power. That's like what he's using to look for his brother and search for his brother. So in the whole scheme of the book, he's using these powers that were a curse in the beginning, but ended up being a gift to find his brother while doing this whole thing with his pledge brothers. So it's a search for brotherhood, basically, both literal and figuratively at the same time.
And ultimately, they destroy the white dragon.
Yeah, you got to read the book for that, man. You got to read the book.
Step on them like they're cockroaches.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So, see, you're making me talk Queens right now. All right, tell me about your first publishing deal.
So the first publishing deal was Girl from Ganymede.
Yeah.
Yes. So I ended up I was querying a lot of so query letter, that's basically where you talk about what the book's about. And it's like a pitch. Like you send out a pitch, you find a literary agent, and then once you get that literary agent, they'll help you secure a big publishing contract with some of the big publishing companies. So basically, like, I kept querying, I wasn't having any luck. So I was like, I need to get that out. So what I ended up doing, I ended up going through an agent through a company called Fulton Books, and then I had to pay the agent like a fee basically, and then they took over everything, and they published it for me. And
what was the fee? And what's the two things I want to know? And the reason why is because we encourage. You are an inspiration to many out there who want to become an author. So we want to tell them the process so that they don't have to go through everything you went through. And let's also break down the mathematics.
Okay, yeah, it was to be honest, I don't remember exactly. I know it was, say, ballpark 4,000 or so. There was a 2,000 in the beginning, and then there was payments that came afterwards. But I definitely think it's worth it, because you see, especially if your book does well, you'll see that money back in the long run. And then
what's the name of the company?
Fulton Books.
Fulton?
Yes.
As in Fulton Street, Brooklyn?
As in Fulton Books. I'm not sure if it's that or not. It might be. I don't even know if I can mention them on this broadcast, but
why not?
It's publicity for them. So
it's publicity, for them, and they're not paying me, so you might as well get it.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, no, but we want, there's brothers and sisters out there that want to know the process. Now, the mathematics. What's the breakdown for each book sold? What do you get? What do they get? Or is all you?
So that's what's nice about them. The first 2 years, they get a percentage, and I get a percentage. And the bookstores and everything get a percentage. But after the first 2 years, it's strictly my book. So the only percentage that's taken out is through printing through Ingram Spark is who I print through, and then through the it'll be sent through Ingram Spark will be the percentage, and that's it. And the book, the Barnes and Noble and everything, they'll get it through Ingram, and they'll pay, and then they'll sell it at the premium price.
So Fulton will make sure your book is in all of the bookstores and available at Amazon.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So yeah, Fulton is great. But yeah, it's a process. You definitely have to have a product that's attractive. But it's just a matter of keep trying until something sticks. Now, if you're able to get traditionally published through a literary agent, I think that's probably the best route. It's just a lot harder.
No, I tried that. I represented a author or two. I managed them, and it's the math was off.
Yeah.
You get like a $20 book, you might get $1.
Right. Yeah. So let me rephrase that. It's a better option if because of the marketing and everything that they do for you. But if you don't benefit from that marketing, then it doesn't
make, because you'll probably make more selling less.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it was
especially today's day and age, it's so easy to like tap into like influencers, TikTok, Instagram.
Exactly.
Stuff, yeah.
So how have you been doing?
I've been doing decent. Gamma Brothers doing well right now. Like, it's not, man, I'm trying to be a bestseller. You know what I mean? So it's not.
No, but Allah is the best known. You're doing well. I told you can't self-depreciate yourself here.
Yeah.
Not on the Oasis. You're doing great.
Yeah, I wrote the best book of all time, man. You got to read it.
Yeah. You wrote
but yeah, for real, like I'm doing well.
Who's your favorite author?
My favorite author, man, I got a few. I like Paul Brown. He wrote a book called Red Rising.
Yeah,
that was a really, really good book. But I don't really have favorite authors. I have more favorite books. So like Red Rising is my favorite book. or one of my favorite books. Obviously, I like Dune by Frank Hibbert. And these are all like science fiction, very heavily sci-fi type books. Um, but yeah, there's a Nigerian author. I'm forgetting her name, but she wrote a few books that are based on like uh tribal sci-fi. So like it'll be based off a character that would be like in a village, and she'll have like all these powers and everything. Those books are pretty cool. I'll get you the name of some of those. I read one of them um like a few years ago when I was
Put
trying.
it in the comments when this comes out, because it's so important that we inspire those that come behind us, because I'm telling you, there's some 20-year-old who wants to be you. And
I feel bad for the 20-year-old man.
why do I tell you, can't keep beating yourself up here, man.
No, he's got to work hard. He want to be me. He got to work hard, man.
But that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Because without struggle, there's no progress.
Right.
You think about the creation of you and me, that Allah, the whole process of, making love, and then the struggle for the baby to come out, all of that is, it's love and there's pain. There's love and there's pain. So it's a dialectical life we live, because struggle initiates progress.
Mm.
So there's some brother out there that wants to be you, and he has to struggle. I hope he doesn't go to the University of West Virginia, though. That's a struggle.
If he really wants to be me, he has to go through that. So
no, and I think the route that you've gone, based on my experiences, of course, the route that you're going is the best route to be self-published and to work with somebody. The only issue that's in my mind that I'm going to ask you about now is, how do you market and promote?
that's the tough part, and that's really what I'm struggling with the most right now. So Gamma Brother, it markets itself. I just need to tap into a bigger audience. But what I would say is you need that social media. I think a lot of authors don't really have like a social media presence.
Mm-hmm.
So you need that social media presence. I don't have the best social media presence, but I know a lot of people that do have huge followings. So what I do, I'll have them repost my books, especially in the DMV area. I'm very like, involved in certain community things, and then I travel a lot. Like I mentioned earlier, I know a lot of people. So like what I'll do is I'll reach out to somebody who is an influencer and ask them, hey, would you mind posting about my book? Or like if I have an event, I'll make sure, like that's how we met actually.
Yeah. You went to, it was a Now Nights event.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
With Now Nights, everybody knows Now Nights is a friend to the room. We are always looking forward to Now Nights events, because we help to raise money, or they raise money for the Sudan, and anything that the Oasis can do to support Now Nights, we do. So I met brother at a Now Nights event.
Yeah. And, marketing. I'm marketing the book right now, man. That's like, it's what you got to do. You got to build. What I've found at bookstores when I do book signings, they always say that most authors, they're amazed by my social ability to kind of interact with the audience, with the customers. And they say most authors kind of get in their shell and just wait for people to come up to them. That's not how it's gonna work, man. Anything in life, you need to go get it. You need to toughen up, pull yourself up and just go get it. So when it comes to, marketing, find these people. Like I said before, we're at a time where influencers and people like that have such easy access. Go find these people, lean on their marketing. And as far as your own marketing, just, one thing I really need to get into is TikTok. I heard TikTok is like really a great place for the book space right now. And like find these spaces where readers have these communities, which is all over the place. I remember Clubhouse when that first came out during COVID. There were so many communities in there. I was able to connect with so many people on there too for my book writing, and just making sure you have a mentor through this process. The gentleman that published Gamma Brother, actually, I'm gonna give him a shout out. Williams Commerce, African American owned, amazing brother. He's written so many books.
So this is not, Gamma Brothers isn't through Fulton.
No, Gamma Brothers. I was deliberate with how Gamma Brother was published, because the issue of racism, it being through an African American lens, but then also like I use some choice language. You can kind of infer what that is with talking about racism in the book, because I'm trying to be extremely extremely authentic to what that racist person is saying to this black man in this situation. So
who's the publisher?
Williams Commerce. So
and they're out of
Houston, Texas.
How did you connect with them?
I found him online and I started talking with him, chopping it up. He wanted to know what the book was about. He read it, he liked it, and we kind of went from there.
What's the money split?
Let's talk offline. But the thing about
Wait a minute. I just told you I did a deal where for a $20 book, I got $1. Not me, but my artist got $1.
Yeah. Okay. It's a very good process where a lot of the payments up front, and after that, you kind of take over from there.
That's good.
Yeah. And I just want to make this point though. I was authentic with him publishing this book because he's a Black, publisher who's published books for so many Black authors. I didn't want this type of book being published by a white publisher with those type of words in it. You know what I mean? Like that's just not. It wouldn't sit right with me. So like, and he's amazing at what he does. Like I wouldn't have any random Black publisher do this. It had to be somebody that had that work ethic and that could prove from his previous books. So maybe I'll connect you with him, man. He's amazing.
No, please do.
Yeah.
And I know there's one other Black publisher I know is Ta-Nehisi Coates' father, Paul Coates out of Baltimore. He has a publishing company and his daughter runs it with him now. So I salute Black publishers, and I'm glad that you're with, brother. You know what I'm saying? It's a wonderful thing to keep the money in house.
Yeah. And then I went to I had a book signing in Houston, and he came out and supported. We took our pictures and everything. He's just like a genuine brother, man. I love to see that. Like dealing with him he's there to support me. He's got so many connections in the fraternity world too. So that's another thing. Like somebody that knows that experience, being able to publish this book is amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on. What is SAFY?
Oh, bro, SAFY program. So SAFY, my middle name.
Bro, wait a minute. Oh, bro, wait a minute. This is your stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, oh, bro, because I'm thinking about how much work I've been putting into this and how amazing my vision is, or how big my vision is, and to actually start to come into fruition was amazing. But the real reason I said, oh, bro, is all that given aside, my pockets are really hurting from this business right now because I'm putting in so much money into it.
The greatest thing in life,
yes, sir,
is to see the ideas of your mind made manifest through the works of your hand. And it's going to always be struggle. Struggle helps to purify the soul.
MashaAllah.
Struggle helps your pockets to grow.
Man, you need to be a poet or something. You need to, I'll connect you with Williams Commerce. You get a little poetry book out there.
What is SAFY?
so SAFY, SAFY. So my middle name is Safiuddin. Shortened, SAFY is just
okay. What does Safiuddin mean? So, I love the way whenever I speak to my my Sudanese friends, your Arabic is so in my mind, because I can't speak it, but it with prayer and you learn.
Yeah.
But it's so pristine. The way you're pronouncing. Say that again.
Safiuddin.
Safiuddin.
Yes. So it means the purity of the religion. Yeah. And then there's another word, Saifuddin, that's similar. That means the sword of the religion. But yeah, so SAFY, the name SAFY is an abbreviation from Safiuddin. So the way the name came about is the books had my abbreviation as my middle name, SAFY. So I was like, all right, let me grow on this brand, not necessarily tie the books into my business, but let me grow on this brand with something, I'm passionate about. So the word comes from sports, activism, functions, and youth. So I'm passionate about all those things. And at the time I was doing a lot of stuff in the event space. But I realized like that's such a broad, populated space. I didn't really want to make money off of it. It was just something that, for volunteering and community organizing was fun. So I wanted to take that and, operate in those same spaces when it comes to like events and functions and parties and, camps for the youth, but with my own business. So the business that I thought about is horse riding. I thought about something that, like, going back to why I got into writing. What is something that I'm already good at without having to work hard at it? And I got a lot to learn with both those things, writing and horse riding. But it's something that right now it's coming naturally to me. So like it's not something that I had to put in too much effort to get into. So SAFY, it's basically a horse riding program that operates within sports in terms of lessons, teaching people how to ride a horse. Activism, which is the activism piece to this, is connecting different communities from African American communities, other Black communities, Black diaspora communities, Muslim communities, anybody from a community that is not generally what a horse rider is, and you think in America, a horse rider is a white person, with horses. That's where the activism part comes in. Functions, we do like wedding photo shoots with the horses, having birthday events, and then youth camps. We do, we've done a few youth events connecting the youth to the horses as well. So the original idea came from that, but the principle that I'm grounding myself in, and it's not necessarily just for Muslims. On the contrary, it's a more broad scope, but it's the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which is horse riding.
Okay, tell me about that. Why is it? Because you said that it's based a lot on Sunnah.
Yeah.
So explain.
So the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he has a hadith where he says, the blessings are in the forelocks of horses. He praised horses so much. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Quran, Allah Almighty praise horses in the Quran, and you don't see any Muslims riding horses in America. Like I know a few, but definitely no male Muslims, like that I know at least. But yeah, so I thought that was a space that really needed to be occupied, and
yeah, because you emphasize that this is something that should be taught to Black youth and Muslim youth,
yes,
and
sir.
Those who are Black Muslim youth.
Yeah, exactly.
So why?
Yeah, I mean,
why is this important?
Because when you do see it, it's always the rich more, and it is an expensive thing to get into, but that's why I want to work with organizations that already bring those people together, and then my payments are received from the organization, so that way the kids doing this stuff, they're able to experience it at a discount. But yeah, and then just connecting with there's only one other Black horse rider at my facility that I have the horses at. And me and him, we talk about this all the time. He's not Muslim, but he's very involved in community. He's a principal. He brings kids out to experience this stuff. And we talk about how Black people or Black youth, they love this type of thing, but they're not really, and it's changing now. Like there are a lot of Black people. There are more Black people horse riding, but it's still a huge minority. And whenever you see how people get exposed to this, how they react to it, why it's a sunnah. It makes your heart, like horses are very emotional animals. You touch a horse, he feels whatever you feel. It's kind of like cleansing your soul, man, when you touch a horse, because that horse is able to kind of relate to you from a masculinity and manhood perspective. I very much support young boys learning how to ride a horse and control that animal, and going through a process where the creature that you're mounting does not want to listen to you. Like eventually they're trained horses, but training a horse it's insane the amount of discipline you need to have, and then how to get that animal to react. And it teaches you how to deal with people, because you can't just hit the horse like every time. There's a balance you got to have.
When and where did you start?
Oh man, so I think my first experiences horse riding was when I would go to Sudan on the summer vacations and winter vacations. So my family actually, I got a few cousins that are like really into horse riding, and then my uncle, he had a stable in Khartoum, so I can't remember. I think I was exposed to it before going out to those the stable, but I was eventually going out there and would learn a little bit more about the more wild horses. But when I was younger in Maryland, I spoke with my parents, and we were doing a couple sports back then, but the emphasis on a sunnah sport was big, and I sucked at swimming. I could kind of float a little bit, but I wasn't a good swimmer.
But you keep beating yourself up, brother. You can't beat yourself up on the Oasis.
All right, man. So
let's talk about all the amazing things that you do. So you're an amazing brother who's looking for an amazing wife. So let's talk about.
I am looking for an amazing wife, and
you are an engineer. You are an author. You are published. You are self-published. You have your own writing academy where you do activities for Muslim youth, Black youth, and Black Muslim youth.
Yes, sir.
That's a hell of a resume for a 30-year-old.
Yeah, man. And I'm not beating myself up. Just my I'm being facetious a little bit, but really what I'm saying is you got to know what you're good at, right? So, the problem we have today, I see it in basketball all the time. You got a 7-footer trying to shoot threes all the time. Know what you're good at and then capitalize on that. So I'm just being authentic with what I'm good at. I wasn't a good swimmer. We liked animals and everything back then. So the Sunnah sport that I gravitated towards was horse riding. So like when we were younger, that's kind of how we started. And then, I kept learning. I had a hiatus, and there was a few years where I got away from horse riding. The years that you guessed it, West Virginia, is why that kind of took me away from it in those college years. But then I came back to it, alhamdulillah, and I was able to, gravitate more towards like horse riding after college, even more so than when I was a kid. And then basically from me being a horse rider and learning about horses and dealing with my horse, I realized I'm also very well connected in these event spaces. Why not bring horses to those events? Why not connect those people to horses?
And make some money.
Yes, sir. That's it.
Where's your riding academy?
So just to be transparent, it's not a academy per se. It's just a program. It's taking place in all the
brother. Sometimes you just gotta let it slide.
Get with the program.
I know what it is. I did my research. Yeah, but I'm giving it. I'm taking.
You're giving me the big upsucker.
Yeah.
All right, for the future wife, it is an academy with a few horses. But it's so. It's so SAFY program is in Aldi, Virginia, and I actually
what part of Virginia?
Aldi, Virginia.
Where? Aldi?
ALDIE. Aldi.
What's I never heard of Aldi, Virginia. What's the next nearest town?
Leesburg, where I live.
Oh wow, Leesburg. Oh boy.
Yeah. You know Leesburg?
Yeah.
How'd you hear of Leesburg?
No, because that's where they used to hang people in Leesburg.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Leesburg, there's a couple.
Why'd you tell me that, man? I gotta move out of Leesburg. Maybe I will move to New York.
No, I mean that was I guess that was post Reconstruction. You know what I'm saying? Leesburg, named after Robert E. Lee.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I was there a few times for shows. With the groups, but in any event, it's in Aldi, Virginia, which is next to Leesburg, Virginia, which is, I guess, Leesburg is about an hour and a half from DC.
No, not that far. It's probably like I could get to DC in 45 minutes.
Oh, good. Yeah. So right outside of DC, because I want to come. I love riding horses. I'm not the best at it, but I've done it, a few times in the past.
Check in with SAFY program, man.
No, I'm coming. No, seriously,
make you a little better at that.
I spend a lot of time in the DMV because, for obvious reasons, I love the DMV. If I had any other city outside of New York City, so nice we had to name it twice. You know what I'm saying? I would live in the DMV because it's just, so many black people doing so many great
Chocolate
things.
City, that's what they call it, man.
Now, not anymore. It's Cafe Olay now.
Yeah, Cafe Olay.
So many white people moved into DC. But where's the SAFY program going?
So, inshallah, so I haven't really launched the lessons yet. I'm learning under my trainer basically, and looking to launch those lessons in the fall. Inshallah, that's the short term next step. Eventually, like years in the future, I would like to have my own facility, like you mentioned, with 300 horses. That's
300.
Inshallah, man. Like why not?
Right.
God is capable of anything and everything. I know what my work ethic is.
See what's sitting on this couch, dude? Your attitude has changed from self-depreciation to 300 horses. And it's been less than an hour. And
I told you realistic. You were asking me about things I wasn't good at. Now I'm talking about things I am good at. Yeah. So it is. And one thing I will say, like humbly, that I'm really good at is I will work for something, like, which is something.
That's obvious. Yeah. You put in the time. For anybody that's a petroleum engineer, that's a very dedicated.
Right.
That's you got it going on. And then look at the books. Petroleum engineer looking for a wife. Brother is looking for a wife. All right.
Where's she at, man?
Where's she at? Please tell us about Muslim spaces and hoops for Sudan.
Oh, mashallah. So, like I mentioned before, connected in the community, do a lot in Muslim spaces from a volunteer standpoint. Hoops for Sudan, I did through my main mosque, back home, which was it was a once a year. We launched the first one last year and we just had our second one this year. Very successful, alhamdulillah. It's a 2-day basketball tournament, men's 18 and up, and then kids camp that is meant to generate revenue for families in Sudan that are displaced from the war. So we work with an organization that provides those meals for those families displaced from the war. And we work with an influencer. His name is Hoop Finesse. I think his real name is Muhammad.
Yeah. He's a wonderful brother.
Yeah, you should
have to get him on the show.
I'll connect it for you.
Please.
Yeah, I will connect.
Please.
He's very, very.
But you didn't know I was drafted by the New York Knicks out of high school.
Oh yeah.
So if you want me to,
are you serious?
No. See, the people are messing. See, my engineer, my producer, Jazz, everybody is laughing.
But you gotta know with me, I'm sarcastic. So I'm being sarcastic, but you can't read my sarcasm sometimes.
Oh no, you didn't believe that I was drafted by the New York Knicks in high school? You didn't believe it?
I did believe it, yeah. See, you're catching on now, man.
No, I got Mahmoud Abdul Rauf with that. Yeah, he was on the show.
Okay.
And I told him, I was drafted at it. I couldn't hold it because he was like, really? And then I couldn't hold it. I just started laughing. I said,
right.
Saying.
But no, the brother Muhammad with Hoop, so we work with him and he does the kids camp.
Yeah.
And then we do the basketball tournament. We had 15, I want to say 14 or 15 teams this year. Very competitive.
MashaAllah. Yeah. That's a wonderful. What we do for a fact, we have a program up at Rucker Park for the youth that we sponsor. A called Rucker Park Prep. For our kids are 8 to 14.
Okay.
So
maybe we could work together with him or another person to do the camp.
Absolutely. This is a wonderful thing. And so Hoop, say it again, the name?
Hoop for Sudan with the number 4 in the middle.
Excellent. And you who do you give the money to?
So it's we worked with MATW this year, Muslims around the world.
Mm-hmm.
We've worked with SAPA, Sudanese-American Physicians Association. So we change it up a little bit who we work with for, as long as it's something benefiting Sudan. And like I mentioned, this year Muslims around the world provided meals they use the money to provide meals for displaced families in Sudan, or from Sudan to Egypt. So
we have nearly 10, 12 million displaced Sudanese right now.
Yep.
And sometimes Sudan reminds me of Haiti because I think because of the history of Haiti and the history of Sudan, there's always these forces that are always trying to destabilize both.
And the resources.
Because of the resource, exactly. Haiti has tremendous resources.
Yes, sir,
yep. And Sudan, the Fertile Crescent, I mean, it's the breadbasket of the world, with oil, gold.
Land of the blacks, man.
Land of the blacks.
Yeah.
So I think it's purposely being destabilized for all these years. What is your vision for Sudan?
Sudan is so complicated right now with what's happening and the division that's happening. But inshallah, if Sudan can just get to a point where we are profiting from our resources instead of somebody else doing it. That's my main thing. Is like we need to be the ones building, and this is an Africa problem. It's not just a Sudan problem. We need to be the ones that are in control of our resources. Whoever is leading is the leadership in Sudan. They can't be, so willing to just give away our stuff just for their own personal benefit. That's the problem in Sudan. The leadership and the people that are in charge of these things, they're selfish, obviously. They just want, they have vested interests. So, inshallah, I just need Sudan to be able to be in control of their own, history, their own resources, their own people. That's what I want.
Your family has such a rich history in the politics of Sudan. Are there any al-Mahdis that want to be involved, or because then I want to give you a chance because the two guys, Burhan and Hamidi,
yeah,
they seem to be so selfish.
Yeah, they are. and they can't be an option. They're literally war criminals.
No, they you can't have leadership like that,
Right.
because they're just so selfish.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Like with a country that's rich, you listen. If you want to steal, but at least get the roads paved and there's Sudan is so rich.
Yeah.
So rich.
Give those resources back to Sudan. Don't ship them off to some random country. So my family is involved. A few members of my family are involved. But I'll go back to something. I think the death of my uncle, Allah yarhamu, Sudan as a country felt that.
Which one?
al-Mahdi.
The prime minister.
Yes. Yeah. The whole country felt that. And you could see, even people that didn't agree with him or didn't like him, when he died, the amount of love came out for him. So I just don't think there's anybody in Sudan with that level of political aptitude that he had and charisma and ability, like outside of my family, anybody. Like it just doesn't have. I don't think it's around anymore, and I think we wasted the potential for him, not just because he's my uncle, but the type of person he was. You know what I mean? And it is a very touchy topic. Anything in Sudan is touchy. That's why it's not as simple as Palestine and Israel, where you can just talk about there's a clear bad guy and a clear good guy. Sudan is a little bit more mixed.
It's murky.
Yeah,
it's very murky.
It's very murky, and that's the tough part. Us as Sudanese people, we need to be able to come to a table, sit down, hash out our grievances and differences, and get to a point where we can progress.
But it doesn't appear to me that these guys can be at the table.
No, and that's the problem. And they have so much input in the table right now that's the part that's hard to wash our hands of as a nation.
It's like choosing between the devil and Satan.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And it fascinates me because I love Sudan, and we try to do as much about Sudan on the show, and I think it goes.
You're an honorary Sudanese person.
That's true.
Looking for a Sudanese wife.
There you go. I am, because we were taught 4 things for a wife, right? Lineage, wealth, deen, and one more.
Lineage, wealth, deen, and you said lineage.
Wealth.
I should know this.
Deen.
Beauty. Yeah. How would we forget that?
Yeah. Oh, how would we forget that? Yeah. Oh boy. Listen, brother Omar. Omar came up with it. Brother, you're gonna have to stick your face in here sooner or later. Oh, he's good. Okay, let's say 4 things that the Prophet, peace be upon us, taught us looking for a wife: beauty, lineage, wealth, deen. How do we get on that subject?
Well, we were talking about Sudan. You said how much you love Sudanese people.
Oh yeah, and you said my wife is from Sudan. Yeah, because those 4 things. But brother has all those things as well.
Smooth.
Smooth transition.
Right. Your first poem in your poetry book needs to be about that.
About
me having those 4 things.
Muhammad
back to the book market.
El-Mahdi.
So, yeah.
The brother. Listen, he's 30 and he got a lot going on, sisters. No, but you're right. In my mind, I have fallen in love with Sudan, and I think it has a lot to do with the admiration as an African American we've always had for Muhammad Ahmad El Mahdi. This guy, man, we love him. We love him. And I don't know when I first learned, I think I was in high school when I first learned about him. And since that time, I've always been attracted to Sudan. And recently I saw this documentary, Sudan Remember Us, I believe it is. What a powerful documentary.
Yeah, you told me that on the phone yesterday.
Yeah, you got to see it. And please go see. It's the production company Watermelon Pictures, and it was just the most revealing, because it followed 4 students during the revolution, and what's so heartbreaking is how I don't know which one. Who's the guy that's controlling? Is it Burhan that's controlling
the military?
The military now, and the RSF is
Hamidi.
Okay,
Yeah.
Burhan. These students are protesting, and they remind me of when I was at Howard University, because we took over the A building, we did sit-ins and all that kind of stuff, and what happened was he sent in the military after them. He killed some students, he beat up students, And I'm like, I put myself in that place because at Howard University, we did this. I said, what kind of man would do this to his own people?
Not a man at all, man. But we use the word man too loosely nowadays. Like they call the RSF groups, they call them devils on horseback because they're literally devils.
Because they're part of the Janjaweed.
Yeah.
They were in the Darfur region. They were the Janjaweed in that
Yes,
region.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, but Burhan, he sent the military after the students.
Yep.
That's hard. Come on.
Yeah. No, and that's the problem. Like, you'll find a lot of people that want to support him because at least he's representing Sudan a little bit more than, like, the international influence is coming more towards the RSF than the military. But yeah, and then he does things like that, so you just can't support. He slaughters students. You know, it's you can't really pick. You gotta just, you know, wash yourself out of all of that. But I like the thing about the documentary you said that I really love. It's about the youth, because this is ultimately where it's going to come from. Like, you had asked if anybody in my family was, you know, politically active. I don't think it needs to come from like older politicians all the time. Like, the youth, the younger people in Sudan, they're the ones that brought about the revolution. So we need to empower them, listen to what they have to say. In this country, over there, like, there's so many youth, like you mentioned, some programs where the youth are speaking out, and then alhamdulillah, like, the documentary you watched highlighted the youth experience, the bad experiences, but then also showing that they were the ones really carrying that mantle.
Carrying it. And the other part of the youth community and the arts community.
Mm.
The arts community was so active because there were a number of rappers in the film.
Yep.
There were sisters that there was like how I related to was like a cipher, because there were people standing around the rapper in the middle, and a beat would happen with hands, and the delivery, man.
I've been at some of those protests.
Oh,
Not
man.
in Sudan, but in DC we had something similar. Yeah.
Just an incredible feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then the heartlessness of to send men with clubs and on horsebacks, tear gas and bullets, and to kill rubber bullets, real bullets. And we're watching this, and I said, like, how can you do that to people that look exactly like you?
Doesn't it remind you of, you know, the civil rights in America?
Exactly.
But it's people that didn't look like us.
Yeah, that didn't look. Yeah, exactly.
That's what is so heartless and, you know, very frustrating about what's happening in Sudan. These are your people, man. Like I mentioned earlier, Israel and Palestine, it's a little easier to point the finger at a bad guy when that bad guy isn't from you. That's why people need to, you know, tribalism is such a real thing, and you know, being able to villainize people that don't look like you is so easy. When somebody looks like you, don't let that impact you, or make sure that you treat them better. I mean, not to say that that's speaking to the tribalism situation, but like, not to say that you should treat somebody that doesn't look like you bad. But if it's somebody that looks like you and is in your customs, you should be able to relate to what they're doing.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
what I mean?
Could be your cousin in the crowd.
Right.
Your brother's daughter.
Yeah.
You know, and this guy had no remorse. It was women, it was men, young boys, and their passion for their country and change. One thing, and then we'll move on. But the thing that I saw, when it was time to eat, everybody would eat together. And I said, like, wow, such a sense of community that was coming out of the film. Like, these students, they line up the food, and it would be the length of a block, and everybody would sit on the ground and eat together.
Right.
And
Sudanese people, like, I think we saw during this whole era how good the youth are for organizing and making sure food is available, like things to facilitate these protests, like things everybody needs: food, places to pray, places to wash, you know, all that stuff. Like, in Sudan, and then even here in America, we were able to see that. I think the next step, or the trickier part, is how do we take that type of organization and apply it to a political atmosphere in order to move forward in Sudan, inshallah.
Brother, I really enjoyed our time together. This has been a great conversation for me, very enlightening, and I truly admire you and your lineage. I mean, what you've accomplished at 30 is amazing, and I wish you nothing but the best, inshallah. Come back anytime to sell more books. Come back with your wife, no problem. I'd love to interview you and her and how that all happened. What's next?
So what's next for me? I have another book I'm working on. I'm actually working on 2 right now. There's one that's already done, but it's not published yet. And then there's one that I want to put out. But really, I'm trying to do more like dawah centered things because like the first 2 books I wrote have nothing to do with Islam. This next book, it has a Muslim character. I'm not gonna say what it's about yet, but it's not an Islamic book. It just has a Muslim character, and he's practicing his deen in a way that's not direct, but people reading the book will be able to see those things. They'll be like, oh, because there's a lot of things in their religion that people don't even know about, and once they hear it, like what I mentioned about the 4 locks of horses, people love horses. You know, all the cowboys and stuff I deal with, they love horses. They hear that there's a hadith about that the Prophet ﷺ loved horses to that extent. It's something they can relate to. So my next book, inshallah, showcases some of those smaller elements that can kind of be as a means for dawah. And then when it comes to SAFY, you know, keep growing the brand, inshallah, doing some camps, some like routine lessons. And like I said, like I'm Muslim, I'm a Black Muslim, but I'm not only targeting Muslims in this. Like, yeah, I want to connect people, Muslims and Black people to this. That's the main focus. But the best form of dawah is opening your doors to people that aren't Muslim, because that's who you got to give dawah to. So what my vision with SAFY is to expand and, you know, do these pony parties and these horse lessons with people that you know, like outside of the Muslim community that can kind of touch base with that and, you know, interact with that and be able to learn about we do like lessons when we do our lessons, we do like little you know, small classes or talks about the Prophet ﷺ's hadith about horses. And you'll be amazed like how people see that stuff and they're just like, I didn't even know, like, oh, I heard about this guy he's a war criminal or he had 9 wives and all that. We never hear about this type of good stuff. So, you know, just trying to relate everything I'm doing back to the deen, because it's right now it's not really relating. SAFY sort of is, but the books are not very relating to that, and that's just my long-term vision to inshallah create or cultivate something that could be some type of sadaqah jariyah for me.
Wonderful goals and objectives, you know, and brother, don't self-depreciate.
Yeah,
You got a lot of great stuff happening.
yeah, man, appreciate it. You too. I love this studio. I love New York. I'm here a lot. You know, I know you said you might be coming to the DMV, so let me.
No, I want to come to, because I want to go horseback riding. I want to experience, you know, your program.
Yeah.
Oh no, your horses.
Yeah.
You know, I want to go there
to
ride. I haven't ridden.
So we have,
You know.
there's a horse I'm thinking of putting you on. Her name is Haley. Amazing horse, gentle horse. If you said you've been on a horse before, right?
Yeah, but I'm not skilled.
Okay.
You know, I've ridden horses, you know, at least a dozen times in my life.
Okay, we're gonna put you on Haley.
Just tell Haley to relax.
I'll let her know. Yeah. I'll let her know. Yeah, this brother Huck is coming. I need you to be, you know, take it a little easy with him.
Take it easy with me.
He's a poet. You know, he might.
I got a new profession.
Yeah.
Again, Muhammad SAFY al-Mahdi.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure, man. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right. That's this week's edition of The Oasis. For all the sisters that's interested in marrying my brother here, DM me. Pass me that, please. And don't forget to pick up Gamma Brothers. Excellent book, published by a Black publisher out of Texas. Same state that my engineer Wolf comes from, the state of Texas that's trying to suppress Black people in the 21st century. By Gamma Brothers. All right. Thank you for tuning in. It's your brother Haq Islam signing out. We're going to eat right now. So, Assalamu alaikum. Until next time.